Hey guys, Justin here. I hope you guys are having a great extended weekend. This will be our weekly watch list video highlighting the market breakdown as well as our top 5 picks of the week. So with that being said, the 5 plays this week, first one being SE, second one being ROKU, third one being TWLO, fourth one being Roblox, and then the fifth one being Shop. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you did find it helpful, if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So, getting things started here, the first proxy I'm going to be looking at is going to be /NQ. And this is going to be the NASDAQ futures. And the reason why I watch this is, again, as I mentioned in previous videos, is I am going to be a person that is heavily weighted in trading large tech stocks. And tech stocks make up a big component of the NASDAQ market here. So this is a better proxy to look at for what I personally trade versus, say, watching the Dow Jones index. Really what we're seeing here for the first time in a while in the NASDAQ is a series of net lower lows. We're currently trading, the NASDAQ futures are trading currently, although the market is going to be closed today in observance of President's Day. We're already down here 1.85%, nearing that low here on 124 before we saw a really nice bounce here, basically from 13,700 on the daily all the way up through 14,500. Huge swing. A lot of buyers here back at this level. Now, this is our last level of defense here. If we do crack that 13,700 region, looking very, very weak here, and watch out below on the NASDAQ market. We could push down into 13,000 support region here as we do continue the lower lows. What's moving the market? Now, there's really two things moving the market, and the main one being the Russian-Ukraine escalation, what's actually going on. There's so many contradicting news articles. One day they're rating, one day they're not. That's why the market is going to be so heavily news reliant. That needs more escalation. We need to figure out what's actually going on. The market does not like uncertainty, and that's why it's discounting that in currently, down almost 2%. Now, the other thing to consider is, what are we going to be doing with the Fed funds rate? Are we going to be raising it by how many basis points, how many times this year? The market's trying to predict all this uncertainty into it. And during this uncertainty, we're getting a series of net lows and a lot of weakness across the board. So watching that 13,700 support region here on the NASDAQ, if this does break, not looking good below. Likely to see a series of net lower lows here through 13,620 and down into 13,500, and ultimately the strongest support below at 13,000. So again, some visualization levels to watch, but NASDAQ looking very, very weak here. Continued lows, reports of maybe a invasion tonight or today. It really all depends here on the NASDAQ market to see where this news plays out, and then the forward movement of the NASDAQ. Again, 13,700, an area of interest on this one in the coming week. Now, the first play of the week, going to be SE. And really what we see is, I'm sure if you guys have been watching the market lately, have been trading, have been investing, whatever it might be, you're seeing a lot of lower lows, 52-week lows on these high-growth companies, SE fitting this to a T. What I like here is this continued lower low, daily weakness. What I'm watching for is, yes, we got this bounce here on 128 with some volume. You can see the sellers taking control over this region at 154.59. Now we're selling off, trying to form this inverse head and shoulders here to the downside. Watching this one personally below 120. If we do get that 120 break here, I do think we can test lows of 115 and then down here into 102. One thing to note, it does have earnings on 3/1 before market open, so just something to keep an eye on. You can expect some volatility on this one in the coming week. But again, forming the complete lower lows here, trying to form an inverse head and shoulders to the downside. The key will be a breakdown of 120 on this one to eye this one to the downside within the coming week. Second one that's been completely destroyed as well, is going to be ROKU. So ROKU, you can see these continued lower lows here on this move here, pushing down to the downside. What I would like to see is a breakdown of that 102 region here. You can see we did see some buying pressure, actually the most amount of volume we have traded on this one all year by a significant margin. 11.5x the normal amount of volume, so we got to take that into consideration here on ROKU. Trying to bounce here. There's really two setups here. If we do get a breakout through this 117.52 region, liking this one to the upside here through and into this 123.46 resistance region. If we do break down of this 102.60 lows, I do think we see sub 100 on this one and even down into 96.82 support. So really two setups here on Roku, waiting and watching these levels here. The main thing I like is this huge advancement of volume that we've seen, the highest obviously by a significant margin that we've ever seen on Roku in the past 52 weeks. This gives us a lot of volatility. It gives us a lot of good setups to either one, trade to the upside, or two, trade to the downside. So watch this continued volatility on this particular equity for better direction here in the coming week. And again, those two levels mapped out here, 102.60 to the downside and then 117.52 to the upside into that 123 region, where we can fill this gap back up here into that 147 region here in the coming week. So and again, going to be one that's going to be trading with a lot of NASDAQ stocks. So getting a key level on the NASDAQ, getting an idea of where the market's going to be can help you trade Roku, can help you find a better direction of Roku within the coming week as well. Third one, another one that's forming 52-week lows, another one that's selling off on weakness, as you can expect with a weaker market that we have been seeing lately. What we're seeing here is we tried to form a support region in this 175 into 177 region. You can see this continued selling pressure. Sellers still in control, pushing this down almost 7% on the day here with some volume, 1.75x volume. But really what I like to see is when you get these bounces, look at the volume. Look how low the volume is on the bounces. When we get selling pressure, strong price action to the downside, clearly the volume steps in, indicating that who's in control, the sellers are. So let's draw a visualization here. There's two ways to play this one. If we get a bounce level, watching for a bounce into 175 for a rejection and play to the downside, or continued lower lows here, watching intraday setups on Tuesday, tomorrow for TWLO. Volume going to be key here. I do ideally want to see that 2x volume, but if we get high abnormal volume, we'll still be eyeing this one to the downside in the coming week. Perfect breakdown here, inverse breakdown, either a retest to 175 rejection or continued lower lows here, scalping this one into that 140 region here within the coming week. Fourth setup, Roblox, one that's been hit very, very hard as well. One that basically cratered after earnings. If you do go in here, you can see we had earnings on this one last week, gapping all the way down here from 73 all the way down here to 53. So a significant decline. Still getting elevated volume here as the market's trying to anticipate the movement here on Roku, digesting the earnings, digesting the slowdown in the EPS, lowered guidance, lowered users. So the market's trying to digest this. What is a fair value price for Roblox? Pushing to this 52-week low here, and what happens now is that we are trading up 52-week lows, and we're trading at all-time lows at Roblox. You do have to resort to intraday levels. So a lot of times what you'll see during intraday levels, if you don't have any support and resistances, are going to be whole dollar, half dollar regions that do act as a psychological level. For Roblox, for example, say a 50 resistance, a 49.50 support, a 49 support, a 48 support, whatever it might be. Those are just those psychological regions that a lot of institutions will eye this one at. So that is going to be key here to watch here on Roblox. Two setups again, as with a lot of these breakdown setups this week, bounce retest of 53.63 rejection, or continue lower lows here down through 48.13 to continue to play this one to the downside. Again, this is uncharted territory, so there are no levels to the downside. You do have to resort to drawing those intraday levels here on Roblox within the coming week. Last one, Shopify. Yet again, another one that's very, very weak. We're getting this continued selling pressure, downtrend. For something that was trading at $1,700 in November to now trading at $640 and 3 months later, that's obviously a significant decline. What I'm watching for here, you can see we tried to get this bounce into this resistance region up here at 688. Failed to do that. We're basically trying to, one, form a doji for a reversal to the upside or continued weakness. Buyers and sellers gridlocked here on Friday. You can see this candle, very narrow candle, narrow body of the candle. Watching this one for direction. Again, this one, as a lot of the breakdown setups have had, you really, one, watch for that bounce, retest, rejection, or two, watch for continued lower lows. A lot of these tickers are going to be at their 52-week lows, so you have to watch these intraday levels here, see where the market is going to be moving this in the coming days. But again, lots of selling. You can see the highest selling that we've got here on 216, which is going to correspond with a slower earnings than they were expected, pushing down lower guidance. Now we're getting this weakness to the downside here. So psychological level below 600, obviously going to be a very strong support. Watching this one here if we do reject and fail that 688.12 within the coming week. That being said, that wraps up our watch list video for the week. If you did find this useful, if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe, would be greatly appreciated. If you are interested in getting our private course, alerts, and more, feel free to check out simplified-investing.com today. We would love to have you guys on board. Wishing you guys all a great green week and hope you guys are enjoying your extended weekend. Thank you.